Okay, one of the things to prep ourselves to go into Lumion, in addition to applying our materials, is to actually lower this terrain model down. We're going to be using the live sync command in Lumion, or the Lumion live sync for SketchUp, which will take our model right into Lumion. It'll be a live sync to that view. If we leave our model up 1,000 feet the way it was, it'll stay 1,000 feet high in Lumion. So I'm going to drop this model down. I saved this model out as model for Lumion, so this is the only purpose of this model. In Lumion, so I pressed it, once you select your object, press this play button. I already did it, so it's already in Lumion. In Lumion, now I have my model. To apply the materials in here, I'm going to zoom in to my parking garage, or parking lot here with some of the islands. And what I'm going to do, apply some of the materials. So I'll select that material, go to my material palette, choose nature, choose 3D grasses. I'm going to choose a meadow, grab that meadow, and you can see the meadow grasses in there. There's more options in there. I can go into this option. I can actually ask to make the grass size larger. I can make the grass length lower and higher. All those options are available to me within that material editor. I can go ahead and select the parking lot here. Go to outdoor. Excuse me if you hear my kids screaming upstairs. And go ahead and choose my asphalt color. I could also go in there and change, actually in the bottom of here, add some weathering to this asphalt. Now the asphalt's not as cold a weather as concrete is. I'll actually go to the concrete. When I go to the concrete, select my concrete, make sure it's selected, choose my outdoor, choose concrete, choose a concrete. There's a concrete pattern. There's other concrete patterns that actually have, this looks like it has like a little bit of an aggregate to it. Also, I noticed on this model, we didn't talk about doing the curb in SketchUp. I mentioned a technique of doing it. We didn't use it. If we had curb information, we can actually use the vector joint push-pull tool and actually push down a curb face here for ourselves to use. But we can also go weathering in here as well, and it just adds some variations to our surface. So when we render it, and there's also, if you want to add some iron into it, it just makes it feel more weathered. If there's an existing surface that you want to call out. We'll go ahead and add another grass, and another grass type in here. Nature, there's 3D, and maybe this is more of a cut grass that's applied in here. So we have high grasses, other cut grasses. Every place that you have that material set, that color, it will apply all through the model. So that's what's nice about working in SketchUp, is actually apply those materials, and everywhere in Lumion that material will actually be applied. To bring in trees to Lumion, we can go and use our import, or actually using our symbol libraries down here of nature, and go ahead and place our objects. Now this will toggle using these icons down here, can toggle through our library as well as toggling through them up here. So in the landscape, we have our broadleaf plants, our conifers, our palm trees. We have grasses in there as well. I'll just go ahead and use my broadleaf plants. We have different choices in here. We actually have an American elm, which is kind of cool to see. And if we wanted to, when we place these objects in, we go ahead and just drop them into our plan. I'm going to zoom out. So we can drop our plants where we want them. I know these are not elms in this location, or at least I hope they're not. But we can go in there and go ahead and start positioning our plants. You can also put plants on a line. There's actually this mass placement option where if you had a position where you need to place a row of plants, we can place a row. Choose a row of plants. And that placement option actually has different rotations on there, the number of items. We could put a bunch of plants on that row, or we can randomize direction and spacing. All that stuff happens parametrically on that placement. We can also add cars in here. I don't have parking stripes in here. To add the parking stripes, I would just go back to my SketchUp model and actually cut in to the surface using just clipping into the surface with the drape tool and reapply material so I can actually make this striping. There might be an easier way, but that's how I would do it. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my automobile. So I'm just going to confirm the changes here. Choose automobiles. These are actually all transportation, and so we can pick different assortments. It's great. There's little campers in here. I don't know if there's RVs. I didn't even look for RVs for tailgating. Not sure. We got campers. We have vans. We have buses. Well, here's our cars. So we can drop cars into our space. This is actually, we can place them single placement. We can also do cluster placement. We don't want to do cluster placement of cars. We may want to put them in a row, and we can also randomize these. So I click here, drop them in. They're actually all in a row in here, but we can then take our direction, change our rotations. We can change our spacing. So once we have our closer together. No, we don't want to randomize that at all. We would actually change our number once we have our stripes in there. And it's actually randomizing with the from the library of the different cars. I think we choose different cars in our, we can add more elements in there. I mean, if you wanted to have an SUV dropped in there, we drop the SUV. You can see the Hummers are actually a little bit large for our spaces. But you can change our number of items, drop them down, get a little more spacing in there. And of course, we could also drop out the Hummers.